You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
I look good. I got big energy every day.
Let's go! And he is dead.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That's right.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin
Herbert on the move and throws and touchdown.
Good ball, Herb.
Players, coaches, staff, fans, together we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Will Dog, with my buddies, Kev, Hug, and Duggan.
Party people!
Oh! And Kyle, the coach, Duggan.
We're the Brisket Boys.
Brisket Boys! Jeez.
Justin was not happy about that nickname. He's like, we'll think of something maybe.
Well,
later.
that was just
Brisket
a funny
Boys.
video.
We'll talk about
The
it.
Brisket Boys would like to be referred to as the Brisket Boys.
We'll
If you
talk
say
about
it deeper like that, it sounds cooler.
Yeah.
Brisket Boys, baby. All right. Well, hey, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Charger Chat. It's been a thin week as far as things to talk about.
Thanks for
So
noticing.
knowing us, we will find a way to talk at least 2 hours about something.
We'll get to an hour and a half no matter what.
We'll see what we come up with. But as far as some team news, Kev came across some interesting information. What do we got here, Kev?
Yeah, so it looks like they're going to be adding another game, a regular season game.
Interesting.
So it looks like and it makes sense right now with the kind of the timing of like the cap going down and the NFL needing money pronto with how much they lost last year. So they're going to go from 16 to 17 games. It's not official yet, but that's what they're talking about.
Right.
And that's going to affect a lot of stuff.
Do you know what it also could affect? Our subscribers. If you go on and click subscribe on our YouTube channel,
Hey,
go give it a subscribe. Get
there
us
you
to
go,
1,000.
folks. Listen to the coach. He's telling you what
That
to
was-
do.
You like that transition, guys?
That was most
subtle.
That was like a brick. That was the
just
most
hammer over the head. Go
Yeah.
subscribe now.
we were talking about. Yeah,
We're
holy
gonna
shit.
stop the episode. I don't care about 17 games. Click the button. Anyways, we had some blunt interruption. Sorry.
That's okay.
But it'll be interesting because like the big things that'll happen will be that they're going to cut out one of the preseason games, which I'm fine with. I know the players probably aren't, but I don't need 4 preseason games. The fourth one's
For real,
always
yeah.
suck anyways.
Exactly.
I get evaluating players, but that I don't see that being a huge deal. And then the other thing that's kind of interesting is that they're going to rotate years. So the 17th game, they're going to give it to a different conference. So like that conference will have all home games. So for this first year, all AFC teams will have a home game.
An extra home game.
For that
Interesting.
17th game. You'll
So
have an
they'll
extra
get
home
9
game. Then
home
the next
games.
year,
Wow.
NFC will have an extra home game. So guess what, boys? Extra home game, maybe, for
Yeah.
next year.
So that's interesting because they've already come out with who the opponents are going to be for the Chargers, and I'm sure every team next year. They haven't set the schedule yet. So how do they figure out who that extra team that we play as a home game is going to be?
As you know, Adam, I don't understand math at all, so I'm not sure. But I've heard people say the Vikings. I don't know if there's any weight to that, but I've heard that on social media today once this news kind of started floating around. So I don't know how that would work.
So for the 17th game, is it basically every AFC opponent versus every NFC opponent at a home game in an NFC stadium? Is that the idea?
That's what I'm gathering. That's what I think.
Okay. So it would be an NFC opponent, whoever that would end up
Yes.
being. Okay.
It's an NFC opponent and the AFC host this year, and then
Gotcha.
the NFC
Flop
would host. That's just so confusing. Holy hell.
Yeah.
And like who you play, it's probably based on like where you finish in your, like the AFC West plays the NFC North based on where you finished in the rankings last. I can't even imagine how they're doing
You think they
this.
treat it like a playoff kind of thing where it's like the best versus the worst or
Sounds
something like
chaos.
that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's too
it'll be.
much.
I'm not mad because I get an extra game to watch Justin Herbert and my boys play. So
Of course.
that's us being able to possibly go to another home game. So
That's very true.
I'm all for it. You know, it's harder for me to justify flying out for a preseason game, but a game that matters late in the season, sign me up.
Man, the only thing I don't like is the Chargers can't stay healthy. You add more games, the likelihood of us staying healthy for a Super Bowl gets slimmer and slimmer.
It's true, but that's other teams as well. So It's
Yeah, but other teams don't get hurt like us.
I don't know.
This is
I was
true.
just thinking about it. Like this last year, there was some like shattered ankles and tibias, and it was a rough
ACLs were
season
going
last
down,
year.
yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of pretty prolific injuries. But I mean, if you're just going to take a game away from preseason, which guys get injured in preseason games as well, might as well at least make the game count if it's going to be, if we're going to add it to the regular season, same amount of games we're playing, just one less preseason, one more regular. So I'm all for it. Yeah. Especially being a home game.
I think it'll be interesting. And they're also talking about, having 2 games on Christmas Day. So
why not?
There's a lot of different schedule things getting
Mix
modified,
things up.
which is exciting.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
let's ruin 2 more teams' family Christmas Day by having them have to go to a football game.
Just
Why
throw
not?
the Lions on TV. They don't get Thanksgiving anyways.
Yeah.
All right.
Seriously.
Well, interesting. We'll keep an eye as that develops because that can potentially happen as early as this next season. This isn't like let's hold off for a couple seasons. It could very well happen. 2021. So we'll see what happens, and if we get an idea of who our opponent might be, you'll hear it on Charger Chat. As far as what is left to go within the remainder of the offseason, there are a few key dates that you can all mark your calendar with as far as what to look forward to. Let's see. The first here is some March 15th through the 17th. That's the legal negotiating window ahead of NFL free agency. So what does that mean as far as like the negotiating window? That's like where you can talk, but you can't announce kind of thing.
Yeah. You can't sign anybody, but those 2 days is when you can start lining stuff up and, getting people, getting Art Johnson ready.
Yeah, they're not even supposed to be talking. It's like a no talking period.
To be.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so
Lasers.
those 2 days, freaking laser beams attached to their freaking heads.
Frickin' heads. Okay. Well, that's good to know. March 15th. Hopefully we can start seeing some news then because we haven't seen anything on the franchise tag. So who knows if the Chargers will take advantage of that this year. They certainly didn't come out guns blazing. That's for sure.
Yep.
March 17th will be the new league year beginning and free agency starting. So that'll be an interesting day to start seeing is it just going to be like machine gun just
dude.
like,
And you guys have seen recently too, like every day almost there's like some new high profile guy on somebody's team getting dropped. They're cutting them because they're saving the money's an issue. So
big time.
It's going to be real interesting. There's a
time.
lot
Russell
of linemen
Wilson getting
floating.
traded to the Bears and it's like
still so many crazy rumors flying around.
Stuff.
Yeah. The Russ. It's gonna be nuts. And then April 5th. Hello, new coaches. That's gonna be the time that the coaches can finally start working with the players in the off-season workout programs. And then April 19th is welcome back all coaches. So April 5th. New coaches get an extra 14 days, extra 2 weeks.
Extra 2 weeks.
Interesting. Why is that? Do you think just because they're new?
Yeah, they got to install everything. It's usually you have all new coaching staff like us. It's just to give you a little. And I guess from a player's perspective, do you like that? Like I'm sure some of these guys are itching to get back, but some of them are like, golly, you just took 2 weeks out of my already short off season. But yeah, it's to help those coaches that are brand new. They have to install everything to get back in and get kind of on track and get status quo with the rest of the league.
Okay.
I really hope that they're, the Zoom meetings and all the stuff we went through last year get kind of fixed because that is going to be such a bummer for some of these new coaches to not be able to be in the rooms with the guys and I'm sure some of the policies, the COVID policies aren't going to change. Like it's still going to be pretty intense. So I just hope it doesn't affect Staley's first couple weeks officially on the job with the boys,
Yeah, it would be nice to have some more face-to-face interactions as opposed to Zoom meetings. But either way, I mean, that's an extra 2 weeks that the coach is going to have to sit with the new players, go over all the playbooks and whatever it is that they're going to be installing, as Kyle mentioned. So good to know. I didn't realize that they get an extra 2 weeks. I mean, in my mind, they're already talking to each other and already trying to get this situated. But I guess the rules are can't talk about it until
players can't talk to them. The question is, can you send them like playbooks and shit? You can't talk to them, but can you send them emails? I'm Ron Burgundy.
Emojis?
I don't know.
Winky faces?
Because clearly, we'll talk about it in a minute, but Herbert has already been talking to him, and Herbert already has an impression on him. So I guess it's just like coaching him up. You can talk with him, but you can't coach him up. So I think that's the dealio.
I don't know. If you know, inform us. Let us know down in the comments.
Yeah, we here at the Charger Chat podcast.
That was way smoother.
That's great.
That was way better than the first. I'm
first
getting
one
better.
sucked so hard.
Yeah.
That was way smoother, Kyle. Go
All
on.
you can do is try to get better.
We here at the Charger Chat podcast never claim to know everything. And if you've listened to any of our previous podcasts, you know that we don't know everything. So if you know some of the answers to some of the things we're talking about, let us know. Because, I mean, shit, we're all about learning here at the Charger Chat podcast. So, are they just sharing brisket recipes, or are they actually exchanging plays?
But inside the
notebooks?
brisket recipes
Yeah,
are
inside
like
the
coaching.
brisket.
Slice
There's
open
a
the brisket.
playbook.
What is this?
What is this play?
It's tasty. Oh.
Delicious.
No, don't eat the plate. Ah, shit. All right. And then obviously April 29th through May 1st, that's going to be the NFL draft. So yeah, without a combine or anything like that, those are the dates to look forward to. So March 15th. So that's only 2 weeks away that we can start hearing, hopefully, some rumblings, some final decisions.
Some real information.
Yeah, something that we can at least start to get an idea for what our draft is going to be like. Because everybody that's predicted for our draft is like, well, it all depends on what we do in free agency. It all depends on what guys we bring back and who we pick up. So, all right, March 15th. Get ready. All right. Let's see. And as Huggin mentioned, Herbert was talking about working with Coach Staley and had a quote from USA Today's Mike Jones. He's been awesome so far. He's a defensive coach, but he also played quarterback, so he knows both sides of the ball. So whether I want to talk to him about offense or defense, he's got a great feel for the game. I mean, that's been kind of the feel that we've had as fans this whole offseason. Anytime he seems to talk or anybody talks about him, that's the general consensus around Coach Staley. So good to hear it from Herbert.
Yeah, it's absolutely good to hear, and just can't wait to get them together and start figuring out how we're going to kick everyone's ass this year.
And then, boy, this was a weird bit of news, and I mean, it's sad. It's crazy. So. Apparently, Tiger Woods, if anybody's been paying attention to the news, and I'm sure you all have, but apparently Tiger Woods was running late to give some golfing lessons behind the scenes with Drew Brees and Justin Herbert, and ended up in a car crash. And just like, it was bad.
Yeah, he apparently it was a TV show they were working on where like Tiger Woods would go play with other celebrities. And
I didn't realize what it was.
Yeah, Justin Herbert is good enough at golf to be on a show with Tiger Woods, and Drew Brees. So
wow.
I'm glad he's okay, but I would love to have been able to watch that episode. That's
For
just
real.
the selfishness in me. But all accounts, he's it was pretty serious, but he's in the hospital and he's doing okay from what I've heard.
Right.
So.
He's been responsive. He's talking, he's not in a coma or anything like that. But yeah, I think from my understanding, he flew like a couple 100 feet from his car. Ugh,
Yeah.
It just sounded so
Not
bad. I'm hopefully.
Sorry, Tiger.
Sorry, Tiger. I hope you get better, because man, that's terrible to happen to somebody just to try to shoot a TV show. If that was the case, cheesy, crazy. Get better, Tiger. Yeah, because I mean, as far as this offseason, we've only seen little chunks here and there from some of the players. Apparently, Herbert and Keenan Allen were golfing one day.
Yeah, Justin's picked up a hobby.
So who even knew he had it in him? Yeah.
Yeah, he's going for it.
And then the next day he's playing golf with Tiger Woods.
Well, was supposed to at least.
What's going on, Justin? Come on, man.
Well, he's turned
Do you have a
into
life outside of football?
He just wants to stay loose. He just
I thought
wants
all
to
these
stay
guys do
loose.
is just throw the ball and look at playbooks.
Dude, he's Hollywood Herbert now, dude. He's getting
That's right.
brought
shot.
in with all the celebrities and all the stuff. I'm sure we're going
It's
to see
like-
way more of this moving forward.
Like when the Mighty Ducks with Team USA and he becomes like the face of USA
hockey.
It's Justin Herbert in the limousines, and it's all right. No,
Dude,
he's
sick.
focused.
Dude, can I tell you how much I appreciate that Mighty Ducks
Good
2
reference,
poll?
right?
That was
Yeah.
so dope, Kyle.
I know. You're
Remember
welcome.
the Trinidad hockey team?
Yes.
Oh my god.
With the steel drums.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Shit, I'm gonna go watch that one.
Clearly,
Yeah,
I
it
need
got
to.
me pumped.
I need to revisit that.
Dude, Knuckle Puck. It's the
I
fucking
remember
Knuckle
Knuckle
Puck.
Puck. I
no.
remember Knuckle Puck.
I did knuckle puck with my son in the garage the other day. He about killed him. It was awesome.
Did you rack him? Oh no.
Yeah, it was a soft puck, but yeah, I got it good.
Take one for the
Oh,
team,
shit.
buddy.
Face-
Take one for the team.
Face of USA Hockey. Justin Herberts.
And let's see, looking at free agency, boy, it just happened today, actually. JJ Watt officially is going to be signing with none other than the Arizona Cardinals of all teams. That was
Where did that come from?
Yeah,
what?
They paid him a shit
they paid
ton
him
of money.
a big chunk.
And guaranteed.
Yeah.
$23 million guaranteed, 31 for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah,
That's a
no
lot
way.
of money for.
Yeah, no way the Chargers could have afforded that, but so much for that narrative of like, yeah, he doesn't need that much money. He's just
He doesn't want
to play.
He wants to go win. Bull. You don't go to the Cardinals. You might as well stay on the Texans.
I know.
It's the same thing.
Well, I think he's following over, what's his name?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, he's just like, let me head over there and work with my boy again.
I'm sure he
So,
talked
I
to
don't know.
I
DeAndre.
guess.
It was one of those hopes that maybe could have happened, but definitely didn't. So now we're still looking at what Von Miller, Floyd. There's some other guys out there.
There's
so
still
could
plenty.
happen.
For
Still
sure,
plenty.
yeah.
So that's interesting then. So we were just going over the dates and talking about free agency, but already announced
Well, he was
that-
cut. He was cut.
he was
the team cut him.
released.
So you can so the team could he could sign a deal with whoever. They don't have any
Interesting.
rights
Okay.
over him. So
Got it.
there's nothing to get in the way of or do anything shady when he's single
He
man.
couldn't have been tagged.
doing single
He couldn't have been
things.
franchise tagged, nothing. He was just
Free to go.
free fish. Yeah.
He was out in
free
the middle
willy.
of the ocean waiting
Yeah.
for somebody to
If you
pick him
love
up.
it, let it go. And they
Yeah, let it
apparently
go.
loved him. Okay, well, interesting. Well, there you go. So that's JJ Watt. He is off the board officially. And then looking again into whatever little rumor kind of tidbitty type things we can find. Denzel Perryman re-Instagrammed Bolt's Pulse made an Instagram post saying, re-sign my guy DP at the Chargers with a nice little flame emoji. And Perryman at least kind of reposted it. So good. I mean, that's kind of the difference between looking at Perryman and Hunter Henry. Like, you don't see Hunter Henry like liking posts about, re-sign Hunter Henry, get him to the Chargers. At least with Perryman, we know homeboy wants to come back and still wants to play with the
Right, yeah.
Chargers. So
He's on
Yeah,
board
it's
with
pretty
that.
cool.
And I was thinking about it. I have a couple signed jerseys. One of them's Phil, so he's no longer on the team. The other one is Perriman.
Right.
And I want him at least a couple more years so I can look at my jersey and be like, he's still on our team. Like, I don't
Still
want him
there.
to see him. I want to make my jersey make more, more impact when I walk into my office. So
yeah,
that's just selfish me.
I totally want him back. Like he played well
And he
last
lights
year.
people up, and he's a
Lights
highlight
people
machine
up.
when
I
he's
mean,
healthy. So I love him.
Who was that? That was that one play where he like just totally leveled that one big lineman.
Yeah. Who was that? Was it Mekhi Becton?
I
The
think that-
Jet?
yeah.
Lit
Becton,
him up.
The Jets, yeah.
And then the game we went to where he played the Chiefs, the running was like a wide receiver or something. There was like a
The tight
little
end. He
the
laid him out.
lit him
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Like we didn't really see. It's so weird when you're at a game, you don't really see like the details of like the big hits. Like you see something big, but then you see it in slow motion when you go home and watch the recording, and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Yeah, no, he's definitely welcome on this team for sure. And I mean, even the one game, I think it was the Patriots, where he was like trying to like rally the guys up, like, come on, guys, like let's keep going. Even though the Patriots game ended up going the way it did, he was at least that vocal, I guess
He's a leader.
Yeah,
You want to keep those guys on the team.
qualities for
need
sure.
those.
Yeah, more the merrier. So hopefully we get Perryman back. And then looking at other teams in the AFC West. Apparently, Raiders released wide receiver Tyrell Williams today, the ex-Charger player, and apparently saved over $10 million against their salary cap by doing it.
So what do you guys seeing? What do you like? There's so much speculation right now. Like, what would you be open to bringing Tyrell back,
Yeah.
or is it a new quarterback, new scheme, new? Like, does it even matter?
I love the idea that he went to the Raiders. They paid him a buttload
It's like
of money.
$40 million,
He didn't
yeah.
play. He didn't. they cut him.
Yeah.
They still had to take on that dead cap, and then we get him back for cheaper. That would be just a beautiful storyline. And then he just kills it. And he's a Pro Bowler.
Just
Just
beautiful.
That would be sweet. It doesn't make a lot of sense with Mike Williams on the team. They're very similar as far as player and fit into the offense. A lot of people think that Mike Williams might get cut. I don't see that happening, but if he does, then that might be a nice little, hey, Tyrell, you were hurt. Come on a 1-year cheap deal. But I don't know. I don't think it'll happen.
I want to address everyone that's saying Mike Williams, like the cutting Mike Williams or dropping Mike Williams. Like, I don't know if we're watching the same highlights in the same games, but he's too important right now to this offense and what he did last year. Some of the catches and the big plays he was making. Like, I don't know why we're even really considering like cutting him when we've already committed to him. Like, I don't see the thought process behind that, and a lot of people feel very strongly about that, and I just don't see it. I don't see the reason for that.
I think a hard part about Mike Williams is he's not a volume receiver,
right?
You know, he's not a Keenan Allen where he's going to get thrown the ball 12 times a game. That's never going to be him. He's going to get 5 to 7, maybe on a good game, 7 targets, but he's going to come down with a huge play like you talked about, like a clutch time where one-handed
in the end zone, 80-20 ball.
Yeah. If it weren't for our kicker just shanking stuff, he put us in spots to win games with incredible catches at the end in like really, really difficult situations. But he's not a volume receiver. And that's what people like to see. They want to see the big stat lines where they're over 100 yards a game and they have 12 catches and they're highly relevant in fantasy football.
Right.
Mike Williams isn't necessarily that. But his skill set is needed. You have to have that guy,
right? And
he does it at a really high level. He is an 80-20 guy when he goes up for high ball. So I don't see why you would disrupt the chemistry that they've now kind of started. He's on the last year of his deal. Let him see if we can get something going this year and then make a decision.
Right. Yeah, and I just the Hunter Henry thing too. If like we don't have Hunter Henry on the roster, I don't think. Absolutely, Mike Williams isn't going anywhere. Like that's my.
Yeah, he's going to be that red zone. He has to be a red zone.
He's the red zone guy. So I look at that. I don't think he's going anywhere anyways. But if Hunter's no longer with us, even if we bring in somebody else, Mike Williams isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, people just like the idea of cap space. You get kind of captivated with more money. We need more money.
Captivated with cap space.
Give me more cap space. More money. But you have to refill. You have to fill that player spot as well. So like if you want to cut Mike Williams to open up cap space, well, you have to go then you have to sign a wide receiver to fill that spot. So some of that cap space is going to go anyways. And then you're probably getting a lesser wide receiver. And then how much did you really free up to go get a big time lineman or something or an edge rusher? I just think it's minimal how much you're actually freeing up after you replace the player that you cut. And a guy that, from all we know, is a great locker room guy that gets along with the team and never complains and works hard and makes plays. I don't see why you would cut him.
Yeah.
I may be wrong, but
that's an important thing too. Like you're saying, like not only he's productive, he doesn't have the volume like you were saying, but he is a good guy. And like it's not always easiest to find these team guys on rosters, and to bring in somebody that is a question mark in terms of that. It just doesn't weigh out for me. It just doesn't. The balance isn't there.
I guess he has been hurt a little bit. That's probably what people point to as well. But everyone on the Chargers has been hurt. So if you want to cut people based on getting hurt, we got to cut all of them. Keep Justin and cut the rest.
No, not Derwin. No.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to cut Mike because of injury, you got to get rid of Derwin too.
Right.
No one says to do that.
No. Not at all. And I think people just look at, okay, like who would we get the most money from if we let them go? And Mike Williams is just that guy. So then it becomes the question, how much is he worth? Is he worth that chunk of money that we know is going to go towards him, or could we split that up and get 2 lessers? But I agree. I think Mike Williams has carved out his niche as one of the offensive targets on this team, to the point that to lose him, I don't know what necessarily we could possibly gain that would alleviate that loss. So 100% agree. Keep Mike because Mike, we know, is coming back. I mean, if we don't cut him, we know he is coming back. And as you said, Hunter Henry is the question mark in the air right now. So without knowing what's going on with Hunter Henry, we definitely need to keep Mike Williams. If we keep Hunter Henry, then we could talk about maybe letting Mike Williams go. But even that, I don't even want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but I'm just saying we could at least talk about it.
And they are very different. Like that's tight end, that's wide receiver.
Right.
And if Hunter Henry doesn't, if we don't sign Hunter Henry, we got to go pick up a big time tight end. So that production is going to get covered up somewhat. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see any way that Mike Williams isn't on the team personally. I may be wrong. I have been wrong a few times in the past, not many, but some.
We have been wrong here at the Charger Chat. So if you think we are wrong about this, let us know in the comments. We want to know. We want to find out.
Or don't.
No.
Or don't.
Yeah, tell it. I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So now we move on over to Coach's Corner. All right. So the lucky winner this week that Coach gets to dissect their question is Touch of Phallus from Reddit. Fabulous name. I wonder how often he actually says that out loud. Touch of Phallus, because
it rolls off the
I'm
tongue.
going to say at least 2 more times. So Touch of Phallus's question, and he had a request for a voice, and it goes a little something like this. Hey, fellas, I'd like Coach's thoughts on Uchenna Nwosu and where you think he's going to be used in Staley's system. This past year, Nwosu was second in pressure percentage behind Bosa with no Ingram. I think he's poised to make a big jump. Do you think he could be more than just a rotational piece, sucker?
That was good.
I
T,
pity the
dude.
fool.
That was good. That was good, Mr. T.
I pity the fool who wants to cut Mike Williams.
Okay.
All right.
Touch of
Uchenna
Phallus.
Nwosu, where does he fit?
Touch of Phallus.
Touch of Phallus
Uchenna-
wants to know. Just a touch.
Uchenna-
Not a handful, just a touch.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So Uchenna Nwosu. So Kevin actually did a little research for me. Thanks, Kev, for giving us some of these stats. We looked at Uchenna's kind of snap count and how often he's on the field. And it hasn't been an extreme amount. In 2018, percentage of defensive stats was 26%. In 2019, 37%. In 2020, 34%. So he's a very much a specialty guy. They had a specific role for him. He wasn't on the field very much. And I think it's because of the scheme that we are in. I don't know if Uchenna really fit in any of those positions that allowed him to take advantage of it, his skill set. So at USC, which is where we drafted him from, he was an outside linebacker, but they did run a little bit more of that 3-4 kind of look where he was in a 2-point stance, but up on the line of scrimmage, getting an outside rush. So I think the scheme that we're moving to will be extremely beneficial for Uchenna Nwosu. We've seen he has talent. I mean, I still remember that game against Baltimore in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that he ended the game with that strip sack. He's got talent. He has ability. He's explosive. He is a playmaker. I think that he's posed to make a pretty big jump this year. I think he's going to have a lot more success with us needing outside linebackers to transition into this new scheme, and I think that he's going to be able to do that. So yeah, I think Touch of Phallus. I think that he is going to. I think he's gonna have a lot more success this year.
Excellent. I think we would like to see that because we have seen those little flashes from Uchenna. I would love to see more of that from Uchenna, especially if he's utilized correctly.
And that's the thing too, is like that we're talking about a guy that we really haven't been able to utilize effectively. Like what, maybe that's a position we're all trying to pick up in free agency, but we have him on the roster already.
That's
like
true.
Those are some of those things that are hidden within some rosters, and we know Uchenna, but we haven't been completely blown away with him. But that's because of the percentage he was on the field, and maybe he wasn't perfectly aligned with the Gus Bradley defense.
Something to look forward to, folks. We'll see what happens when it gets to preseason. But thank you, Touch of Phallus, for asking such a fabulous question. All right, time to go over to an interview. And who do we have this week, Kev?
We have a returning guest. We have John from Costa Mesa. He is an analyst by trade for his profession, and he is also a diehard Charger fan. So
that's right.
He dove into some numbers for us and tried to refute a little bit of the PFF nonsense.
Ooh, that PFF. Ooh.
You son of a bitch. All right, we got a good one here, guys. We have John from Costa Mesa, who previously previously for us did some breakdowns of Tyrod Taylor back when he was our quarterback. And he did some great data analytics and some breakdowns of the players. So since some of our listeners may not have heard that episode, can you give us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. My name's John, and I've got a background in data science, and one thing that I love to do on the side is look at like the numbers, like with football. That there's some really great data sets out there where you can sort of like pull apart things, look at like different win probabilities and downs and stuff. So I like doing that, especially when it comes to topics related to the Chargers. And so when I was on here last time, I was talking about Tyrod, who, when we talked back then, it was looking like, okay, we're going to have a year of Tyrod and let's see what to expect. But, obviously things changed quite a bit after week one.
Yeah.
So since then, I've been kind of like keeping up on like all the numbers for Herbert. So I've got some of those to talk about.
Yeah, well, it's awesome. Let's get into it because it's so cool because you do like a full-on breakdown of analytics of a topic, and this topic is on Justin Herbert. So, and you post all your findings on Reddit, and there's a great article on it with a lot of links and a lot of awesome stuff. So, yeah, let's get into your 2021 offseason data science part 1. Tell us a little bit about what you were looking for and what you found.
Yeah, so like basically, one thing that people, especially like if you look at PFF, what they'll talk about is, Herbert, okay, he did well, but he's got all these data points that suggest he's going to regress. Like he was, about like the 10th best quarterback, but he did it in a way where it's completely unsustainable.
I don't want to stop you, but I can't stand PFF. A lot of people, they hate on our boys so much. So sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
I know. It's funny because I started writing this actually a few weeks ago, but just like it's almost become comical because like every week they're taking a shot at him. And so they just published another article just the other day, which is like, all right, I got to get my article out there. Like it's not a direct, addressing what PFF said, but I do in my most recent analysis bring up one thing that's been brought up by them before, which is that basically they say Herbert is so good on third down relative to first and second down that like once that kind of comes crashing back down and it kind of catches up, he's not going to be the quarterback we saw this past season. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the long and the short of what they've been claiming. And so that's what I wanted to test is basically like, is Herbert like outrageously good on third down relative to like first and second down? And also like, what are the which down is like the most predictive of next year? So I just kind of wanted to get an idea.
Yeah.
Like, is he crashing down? What should we expect of next year? So I broke that up into two kind of questions. The first one is like, is he just crazy good on third down? And actually, even though, and I was actually a little bit surprised by this because you think about like all those touchdowns he throws on third down, I just felt like whenever it's third down, like you could count on Herbert. But actually, if you check his stats, and I use EPA, which is expected points added, he's just as good on second down and first down, really. Like there isn't like this crazy thing where he gets like massively better, awesome. Which is surprising. I think that's in part because you think about the touchdowns he has on third down, but it's also the down he has like the most interceptions and the most sacks. So it kind of all cancels out. And really, if you check like just the average, he's like kind of the same guy down to down.
That's all. That's good to hear. They just hate on him so much, and they're throwing out these random facts, and I don't know. I trust them not really. I don't know what they're saying, so it's good to hear that he's that reliable. And in all honesty, I was expecting to hear that he is like the king at third down because he would have bomb after bomb, and it felt like that Phillip Rivers thing where you had confidence that we would get the first down. So it's an interesting thing to find.
Yeah, I got some numbers like where he ranks by down. So what you will see is that he gets better and better, but I'll kind of explain that in a sec. So basically on first down, he's 20th, which is kind of low. He gets 8th on second down, and he's the 7th best quarterback on third down. But if you kind of like smush first and second down together, he's actually 10th best. So it goes from like 10th best to 7th best, which isn't like a massive improvement.
Yeah.
I actually compared those numbers to Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of like annoying that the gold standard of quarterbacking these days is in our division, but he's got basically the same exact thing. So he goes from the 15th best quarterback to the 2nd best to the 3rd best. So it's not like he's like first. It's quarterbacks aren't the same exact guy every down, but what Herbert's doing is not like anything typical.
So what do you think about, in terms of our previous coaching staff and because the play calling has to go into this a little bit with the run, pass, this jamming it down our throats thing that Lynn was doing. What do you see from the analytics that you broke down that we could take and improve upon for next year?
Well, it's funny that you actually mentioned that, because one little side analysis I did that I didn't put on the Reddit post is basically 20th best quarterback in first down. You're like, where's that coming from? And so actually what it is that they call a lot of screens on first down, which, inherently aren't big bombs. You're probably not going to get a lot of productivity from them. So if you look at just throws that are thrown beyond the line of scrimmage, he jumps up to 12th best. So it's definitely that screens are part of it. Why he's maybe not as good on first down, but I also don't want to say that screens are horrible and you got to get rid of them, because if you actually check, Aaron Rodgers throws the most screens on first down in the entire league, and he was just MVP.
Exactly.
So it's something where no one likes screens. I feel like among fans, you always want to see some crazy bomb downfield, but I think it does play some role, but maybe call a bit fewer.
Gotcha. So your overall findings, what did it, we all love Herbert so much. So did it reinforce your love for Herbert? Did it make you what were your ultimate findings? What did you take from it?
Yeah. So the sort of second part of it is okay, let's look at how someone did on first down and then see how that projects to next year.
Yeah.
Second down to next year, third down to next year. And actually what I've kind of found is that you shouldn't really slice and dice the data. If you want to kind of get a good idea of how a quarterback's going to play, don't look at first down or second down or third down. Look at the whole big picture. And so, he was good, so you should expect him to be good. But if you are to choose a single down to predict how they're going to do next year, third down is actually the best one. So the one he's best on is the most predictive. So, to me, that just says I tried not to get too far ahead of myself. I'm I think we're in store for some big things next year. And there's nothing that I saw in the data so far that's troubling.
What are your thoughts on Staley? Basically him stating that they're going to be an analytic team. They're going to be cutting edge. They're going to be at the forefront. What are your thoughts on him saying that?
To me, that's encouraging. I'm even though I'm an analytics guy, I think sometimes people go a little far with it and act like it's the cure-all. But I also feel with the last coaching staff, they were just sometimes what are you doing? Looked at anything third down, probabilities or fourth down probabilities rather, and they just seem so analytic that as long as we can just get past being that, I think that's a healthy step forward. And also they're I've been kind of following his press conferences and, listening to what he says. And he says a lot of stuff that I find encouraging. I remember there was one interview where he was kind of talking about how you need a lot of 5-yard runs to equal 1 50-yard pass. And I'm that's the way, because runs you're probably gonna get some yards, passes you might not. Maybe you get an incompletion, interception, but you need a few good passes and a lot of good runs. And I think that we're going to see that kind of manifested in the play calling. And it's also just interesting to kind of hear how they kind of want to get aligned, offense, defense, and special teams. And with the last coaching staff, there was points where you'd be happy with what they did and whatever, but it didn't really feel like they were on the same. They had a common vision. It's okay, you handle special teams, you handle defense, you handle offense. So it's going to be interesting to see all that kind of go together, because when Staley was talking about a bunch of 5-yard runs and 1 50-yard pass, he was talking about defense, but you can imagine how that just flips over to the offense as well.
Yeah,
so I'm excited.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time to be a Charger fan with all this stuff going on, and the new quarterback, new coach, new everything. It's just so exciting.
Yeah.
So thanks for doing this. And then do you have an idea of what this is part 1. What does part 2 analytics look like?
Well, yeah. So what I'm going to keep doing is looking at all these things. Is this going to lead to regression with Herbert? I have one that I kind of found something interesting with yards to go. So he has a sweet spot, exploring whether that's actually problematic. He's really good at one area and not so good at the rest. But I'm also going to I was inspired by PFF's article. I want to do a a point-by-point takedown of like everything they said, because a lot of it's really stupid, in my opinion.
I love it. Yeah, well, we all want that. So please do that and let us know where and where we can find it. So where are you posting it? Is it mainly just Reddit, or do you have another place you're posting it?
Yeah, just on Reddit. I thought about starting a blog at some point, but I'm like, you know what? This probably gets more visibility than just a random blog, so I've just been posting it there.
All right. Well, we'll be sure to share it on Twitter and all our places so people can hear it and check it out. And it's keep up the good work, man. It's fun to read your articles.
Awesome. Thanks,
John. Yeah. So thank you so much, John, for coming on. It was awesome having him back and kind of breaking down his point of view on some of the numbers and what they mean, and not skewed for PFF.
Hey, point of view is good as good. Get the out of here, PFF. Good is good. That's what I heard. Hey, here's what I have to predict.
Wow.
He was good last year. He's going to be good next year. That's what I took.
I gotta say,
let's go.
Normally,
Let's go.
it's me and Huggin that are dropping F-bombs, and
I don't like Pro Football Focus trying to take shots at our guy. That's just
I know, none of us do.
oh, he was only good on third down, the most clutch down of all of them, and so that means he's going to be bad.
He was only the 12th best quarterback in the league.
It's okay. There's a
Regression.
couple of things. The idea of the screens, that's a good take. The Chargers, when did we throw on first down? Like the sample size has to be minuscule,
Right,
compared to the other one. So it's like if he had a couple incompletions,
it skews the thought, yeah.
And also, when we're throwing on first down, they know we're throwing on first down. We're behind into the game. Like, and are you more likely to throw the ball away on first down or on third down? If it's not there, you don't want to force it. You throw the ball away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially if it's into the game, you're trying to come back. You want to save clock. You're not going to throw a ball in the middle of the field. It's like there's so many things that go into that data. That's like, I don't care if he was better on third down than first down. He was still good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he got the job done.
Good.
To me, the most important things are third down and 2 minute. And Justin Herbert excelled in both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Don't come at me with you had a bad take on him in the draft, and you're now trying to find a way out.
Don't come at me, bro. Don't do it. Hold me back.
Kyle, you made me so
Hold me
happy.
back.
Hold him back, coach. Hold me back.
I need to know who Pro Football Focus is.
It's one dude. I'm
Give me
sure.
the name behind it.
It's one
gotta be
troll
one
lives in
guy.
the basement. I don't know.
No, I don't know. But all right. Well, thank you, John, for spicing up the the podcast for us so we get a little spiciness out of Coach and get him hot and bothered.
Caliente.
All right. Well, now it's time we go into Fan Focus, and Kev has got a good one this week. Let's go to it.
All right, guys, we're here with another Fan Focus, and this week we have Mike Nava, and you know him from Ask Twitter because he's always involved and he's always asking awesome questions. Thank you so much for coming on, Mike.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, cool. So Fan Focus, you know the drill. How did you become a Charger fan?
So it all started because back in high school, that's when I got into sports. First sport I decided was like football. It spoke to me. I don't know why. And so my thing is when it came to picking teams, I was the local team guy. I was like, definitely not gonna be a Raider fan. Heck no.
Nope.
Wasn't happening.
Love it.
And then Niners wasn't really calling me either. And so I don't know what it was. I guess it was the colors, the logo. The Chargers were my team. And then sure enough, at the time, LT, Rivers, Gates, everybody was going crazy. So, and it helped because I'd hop on Madden and man, they were the killer team.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, well, and we didn't mention it, and you're actually one of our first Fan Focus is actually from Southern California. So that's awesome.
See?
It's crazy, right?
We broke the streak. There you
We
go.
did it. We did it.
That there's fans out here.
I know, right? I know. They're not just all over the country and all over the world. There are some in Southern California.
Yeah, exactly.
So that leads to my next question is like, so you being a SoCal Charger fan, what is the vibe like there after this year? Like I've seen like Herbert on billboards. I've seen more people walking around with stuff on. Like what's the vibe like?
So I'm in San Bernadino, which is like the IE. So I'm like an hour away from LA, an hour away from Orange County. Honestly, over there is where you see it the most. When you're driving down the 10, the 5 and all that stuff, you see on the billboards Herbert, Rookie of the Year and all that stuff. And it's like, it's so cool. And then I feel like the team being down here for sure has been converting a lot of people over because I feel like back in San Diego, I never saw jerseys out here, nothing. Now you're seeing them everywhere. Jerseys, hats, stickers on cars. It's cool. It's cool out here.
That's awesome. It's like, and it was going to take time, the slow takeover and people getting excited. So it's like, it's finally warming up and now we got Herbert and now everything's exciting. Got a new coach. There's so much going on.
Yeah. New stadium and everything. Everyone's getting sold, they're jumping on the train.
100%. So do you go to a lot of games? Like, what's it like being, in the area? Because we don't talk to a lot of people that actually get to go to the games.
So I went to, when they were in Carson, I went to like 3 games. I went to the first game of them being in LA. It was preseason against the Seahawks. I mean, we got blown out, but it was still like fun. It was awesome. It was history, First time. Well, not first time in LA, but first game in LA. So
since the 60s.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was cool. It was a cool setup. That stadium was cool, but man, having that new one for sure is going to be way better.
I know. I'm excited. I went to 2 games in Carson. It was cool because it's so intimate. Like you felt like
exactly.
I got a lot of my best signatures on jerseys there because you were just like on top of the players. But getting into our like luxury mansion stadium, I can't wait to go check it out.
Especially with those season tickets, we're going to be there all the time.
I know. We're so pumped. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to come in, fly in for a couple of them. I just got to work it out, but it's I'm excited. So what are you most looking forward to this upcoming season? Like, are you looking this upcoming like preseason, like the draft, the free agency? Like, what are you looking forward to, and what are you hoping the Chargers do?
Honestly, man, like everybody, you guys bring it up all the time. We gotta draft O-line. Like, I feel like at this point we have enough weapons. Like, our offense is pretty stacked. Our defense is good. Obviously, we need a couple things in defense, but O-line is going to be the one to seal the deal. Because, I mean, we saw how good Herbert was slinging it out there and it was throwing good. So imagine and then that was on pressure. So imagine with like a O-line where you can steady sit there and like pick defenses apart. It's going to be crazy. Like, I feel like that's what we need to do right there.
For sure. I think he's got a new nickname coming if he can have a clean pocket. It's like sniper or something. Just laser beams all over the field.
Yeah, exactly. So we gotta do that for sure. That's what I'm looking forward to, because free agency, I mean, I don't know. Past couple years, we've seen how that's gone with like Bulaga and stuff. So and if they can shine, that's cool. But we need O-line for sure for the draft.
100%. Yeah. I think the one thing with free agency this year will be interesting with defense, like, because there's so many fun, flashy names or guys that are associated with Staley. So that'll be kind of cool. But God, I just want some new offensive line talent. It would be so awesome.
I know, who would have thought we'd be saying that right now, right?
It's crazy. It's just so cool. We can build around Herbert. We know what we know who our guy is now. So now we can start making the moves. It's wonderful.
Yeah, he's our future. So we might as well protect him,
Amen. So, all right, Mike. Well, thank you so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. And Boltup and K love you. Bye.
K love you. Bye. Mike Nava.
Man,
thanks for coming on, Mike.
Preaching to the choir, buddy. I mean, offensive line. I mean, we've been saying it since Phil, man, because Phil couldn't move. It's like, you got to build a line around Phil because he ain't going anywhere. But now that we've got Herbert, it's like, okay, now this is the future of the franchise. You have got to do something to help this kid. Not even just protect him, just help him. Help him help you.
Yeah. Help me help you. Help me help you.
Show me the money. All right. Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate you coming by. And now it's time to move on over to one of our favorites. He always sends in sound bites. I think we're going to start giving him his own segment. Let's turn it on over to Craig from Texas for the Craig Experience.
What's going on, my brothers in Bolt Hood? It's your guy, Craig in Texas, and we are in that dead period between the end of the season and free agency. And because there's no combine, it's that much more tough to deal with. But what it has given me some extra time to do is kind of look at some draft guys that may be below the radar, and a few have made my list that I'm really excited about, and the Chargers would absolutely have the opportunity to grab. A lot of people that follow me on Twitter kind of know who my top guys are, so I'll stick to some of the below the radar guys. One is not so much so, but Dylan Radunes, the offensive tackle out of North Dakota State. You got Joe Tryon, the edge out of Washington, Jamin Davis, the linebacker out of Kentucky, Tyler Shelvin, the nose tackle from LSU. But the one above all on this list is going to be my guy, Trill Williams out of Syracuse. Cornerback, nickel, safety, whatever the hell you want to call him. He's a football player. 6'2", 198 pounds. The dude's clocked sub 4.40. Got 3 touchdowns in his college career, 2 on defense, and 1, listen up, as a punt returner. The dude literally does everything. He's also an aggressive tackler, which is, of course, a necessity in Staley's scheme. So, added bonus. We're talking about maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick it's a thing, and he can come in and develop behind some of the older leadership on the team, and he can be a real guy early on and become the guy in the next few years. But his calling card, turnovers. And I'm talking about since high school. His thing is actually stripping cats, and I'm not talking about like punching the ball out. I mean like full-on big brother bullying, like the Duggins, the ball away from the ball carrier. And I mean, go check out that dude's 2019 tape against Wake Forest. I mean, in overtime, this Wake Forest wide receiver makes a catch, and he's literally on his way into the end zone. I think he's at like the 6. And Trill comes out of nowhere, catches him, rips the ball away from him, per usual, and then takes that bad boy 94 yards to the residence. And it's just flat out amazing. The things that Staley could do with someone like that on his defense, I would imagine, is similar to what he would do with Derwin. And absolutely the way he used Jalen Ramsey being that Trill's original position as cornerback. But let me know what you guys think as far as who your maybe under the radar guy is. If you have any favorites that maybe you haven't seen a lot of people talk about, always anxious to hear what you got to say. So yeah, moving right along. Bolt gang, it don't bang. Okay, love you, bye.
To the residence, to the humble abode.
Yeah, big bully Duggan over here. Little brother Duggan.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's the bully? Both of us?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you guys both kind of poke the bear every now and then.
Poke each other.
All right. Well, thank you, Craig. Great question
man.
As far as under the radar players. I think I know that I've got one, but I think Huggin might have one locked and loaded, ready to go. What do you think?
The guy that I'm interested in, I've been looking at a lot of offensive linemen, and the Senior Bowl, we talked about him briefly, was the Quinn Miners from Wisconsin Whitewater, and he was just handling guys at the Senior Bowl. And he was the guy we were talking about, how he was doing like punch blocking drills against like tree stumps and shit, like
Right.
like Rocky IV montage, like running through the snow, lifting up wood. You know, I don't know what else he does in the backwoods.
Trains
but
like Rocky. That's what he does.
But that's my guy. That's my kind of guy that I'm looking for, and he's kind of been, everyone's mock stuff. He's been in like the 3rd and 4th round. So we'll see. That's mine.
Excellent. Yeah, the guy that I've been I'm very secretly hoping that we get this guy, and it didn't even cross my mind until I saw that the Chargers had sat down to talk with him. But that's Avery Williams out of my current home state right now, Idaho, from BSU. The guy is a defensive back, kick returner, and punt returner, Craig. He returns kicks and punts too, and plays defensive back. So I'm just saying, there's another guy out there, and his name is Avery Williams. And the thing that caught my eye about this were some of the stats. Apparently, he's got 9 career touchdowns as a kick returner / punt returner, 3 blocked punts, a blocked field goal, and a blocked extra point, and a forced fumble on a kickoff. So if there is one area of our team that I know needs some desperate work right now, it is the special teams. So is he a guy that's going to go in the 2nd round? Absolutely not. But if we can pick this guy up in maybe late 6th, early 7th round, and he might even go undrafted, and we can pick him up there, I think that guy would be a solid pickup for the Chargers. I mean, and seeing some of his highlight reels, it's just, I think it would be a great addition to this team.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the Trill Williams call. He kind of reminds me, I've watched a little bit of his highlights, kind of reminds me of a Desmond King type. Kind of that. He technically a corner, but plays inside a lot, kind of can move around, play different places, return, kind of that piece that you can move around and do a lot of things with.
Mm-hmm.
And those kind of guys excite you, especially with a guy like Staley and where his like creativity can kind of shine.
I was going to say that was kind of what Desmond King's position was for us. He was kind of all over the place. He played in the backfield and he was returning kicks and punts. So after losing him last season, it would make sense to try to pick up somebody else to fit that piece to our puzzle, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that and you would assume he would be a great special teams guy.
Mm-hmm.
A guy with that kind of speed, versatility, aggressiveness, kind of playing hard until the end of the play type of thing, running people down. Those usually translate into really good special teamers. So if that kind of guy's there in the 3rd round, I love the pick. A guy that I talked about after the Senior Bowl, who I thought he just made some great plays, was Benjamin St. Juste out of Minnesota, the cornerback.
Minnesota.
Big guy. Yeah, he's 6'3", 200-pound corner. Big, strong, lanky. Played a lot of man press stuff, which if we're in too high safeties, you got to come up and press more than we used to in the past. So I like him. He's just kind of a under the radar, not talked about a whole lot. But watching him in the Senior Bowl was pretty impressive. So yeah, I don't know. It's always fun. It's fun to kind of pick a guy like this and then see where he ends up going. And if you hit, it's like, oh my God, I called it. I could be Tommy T. But yeah, it's kind of fun. So I like the Trill Williams call. I'm excited. I'll be looking for where he goes on draft day for sure.
And he's got a dope ass name too.
Yeah,
Trill
great name,
Williams.
yeah. Trill.
Trilliums.
Yeah.
I love it.
Very nice. Well, thank you, Craig. Yeah, anybody that isn't following Craig, follow him on Twitter. Guy's always dropping little tidbits here and there.
Yeah, he's got great stuff on Twitter. He makes me laugh pretty consistently.
Always.
Yeah. So if you want to follow Craig, go hit him up at top_FLYT3. Do yourself a favor. He's really funny and has good stuff.
Yeah. And I did actually just see today, and I don't know why I didn't think of it. The Chargers did have like a Zoom interview with Trill Williams. I don't know what that means. Like we said, they're probably Zooming and interviewing every single person because of the no combine and all that. But he is on the radar, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It'll be fun to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Craig. And now we go on into our segment, Ask Bolt Fam. And thank you guys for being so vocal.
Thanks, fam.
You give us plenty to talk about. All right. Let's start it off with Supercharger, who asks the question, how many Charger fans would be okay with an almost total focus on the offensive line in free agency and the draft with a possible certain Los Angeles safety addition and some younger cornerbacks and wide receiver if Mike Williams leaves? It's time we finally fix that mess, especially now with this young QB.
I don't know. I think you got to build and develop some of these guys from the draft. Like, I don't know if I would love to have like a new offensive line that's all 30-plus-year-old players. Like, you need to have, you're going to need some of those 20-year-olds to get in there and give you some fresh blood. So that's kind of my take on the offensive line. I think bringing in a couple guys would be great as like, transition guys to get some of the new guys we draft, set up for success for, in a couple years. But, that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I think it's out of necessity. I mean, if you're not going to draft a lineman in the first round for how long has it been for us? Since
ever.
Yeah,
been a while.
DJ Fluker, was he a first rounder?
Yeah.
Second round? Yeah, it's been a long time. So you have to go to free agency if you're not going to draft guys. So we're in a place where out of necessity, we will need at least one free agent lineman. I would assume probably two, even if they're not starters, but we need that depth. And then, yeah, you can't afford, honestly, you can't afford to just only to get all linemen. Like, we just don't have the cap to do that.
Right.
To pick up the 5 linemen that we need with the guys that are free agents, with Sam Tebby leaving, with these guys that are free agents, like, they all have to be replaced. We can't afford to just sign 5 guys that are solid, good free agent on their second contract guys. We have to have rookie deals. That's how you build a roster. We can't, I don't know how we would afford to do all of that. So I think it has to be a mixture of both. It has to be a little bit of both.
Yeah, the 10 to 12 million per veteran guy that we could bring over is just a lot of money, and that slowly adds up. So I agree.
Well, we do have quite a bit in cap space availability. There is a limit, so we can't just, throw money left and right. But yeah, I think at least 2 in free agency would be great. And then, yeah, still address it in the draft. Hopefully in the first
early.
round. Yes, please. Early. There are a lot of good guys in the draft that we should pick up. So thank you, Supercharger. Great to hear from you. Next, we move on to Brian, who asked the question, since we have a good amount of draft picks, do you see Gangsta TT repeating what he did last draft and picking up 2 number 1s? Personally, I would love to see it again. I would go best available talent and then later on offensive lineman for a couple of picks. Boltup, K-love you, bye.
Yeah, I could see it happening. I don't think it happens till later in the draft. Like, if you want to trade up, you're going to have to wait until the mid to late 20s to get back into the first round, I think, this year. And, looking at some of these mock drafts and some of the things these people are doing, like there's still a lot of good offensive line talent deep in the first round. Like there's a lot of good guys in there, like the Raduns guy that was mentioned. Like he's there at the end of the first round in a lot of these mock drafts. So
there's a lot. Yeah.
There's so many variables, and I want to prepare myself because I didn't do that properly last year and I made a big ass mistake. But what happens, in your opinion, like if we talked about it a little in text, like Waddle, one of these guys is taken 13, and then would you be more okay with that if we got back up into the first to get a first round tackle?
Hell yeah. If you could do both of those things, awesome. We're not going to do that every single year. I don't see it happening again. The Waddle thing, to me, it's like best available. I understand,
but when is enough? Enough
is enough. I don't think a rookie Waddle is going to be better than Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And so it's like we need a first rounder needs to be a guy day one that is going to change the organization. Like is going to change the roster. Like in my mind, like a first round guy. Day one, boom, he's making a big impact on the team. I just think best available is awesome to some extent, but good God, enough is enough. You need a lineman. I don't know. It's just like it's the age-old debate. And here's what I'll preface it with is if we do draft Waddle, that's fun. That's a fun pick. I'll be excited. But in the back of my mind, I'll be like, shit.
Enough wasn't enough.
And it's never enough.
It's like enough is never enough.
Like I said, I'll be excited because he's an awesome football player, but I'll be like, all right, Tommy T, you better have some magic working in these later rounds, and these guys better be able to play day one. You know what I mean? So
we'll trust Tom to make the right decision. He's made some good ones in the past,
but at the same time, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Well, thank you, Brian. Now we move on to Mark, who asked the question.
With all the talk about our offensive line, I think many fans have overlooked other needs. If we were to shore up most of the line in free agency, what direction would you want to see the Chargers take in the draft for the first 3 rounds?
Well, this hypothetical thing goes against everything we stand for, but if we're going to talk about it,
if you're going to force us,
it's fun.
If you're going to force this on us, I think you probably look at, an edge guy to replace Melvin. Like if you're doing all that free agency work, you're not going to be picking up some of these names like Von Miller, these other guys that I'm looking more into that direction, picking up them and working with new offensive linemen. So I think you need to address getting to the quarterback. It's the most important thing. In general to disrupt another team. So that's my opinion on that.
I'm not overlooking other holes in our roster, but how drastically bad our offensive line is, that's just way bigger need than all the other ones. There's still other needs for sure.
Right. We
need a pass rusher. If we're going to sign 5 offensive linemen free agents, we're going to need a tight end because you're not going to be able to pay Hunter Henry. We need a corner. If Mike Davis isn't signed because we signed 5 offensive linemen. So it's like, there's definitely spots that need to be filled.
Right.
We need a corner or defensive back, some guy. We need an edge rusher and we need a tight end because Hunter Henry's not signed yet. So I think those are the 3 that you address. I think if we are confident in our offensive line and Kyle Pitts is still on the board, I think that's your draft pick at 13. I think that he's a day one dynamic pass catching, make big plays kind of guy that we will have an instant hole if we don't sign Hunter Henry.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, I think if O-line is addressed, you need tight end, pass rusher, corner.
And Pitts could be an impact guy too, like you were saying, like a guy that can come in and make a difference right away. Like that's a day one guy that makes sense.
Top 20 pick has to be able to play day one and make a big impact.
100%.
This hypothetical's hurting me a little bit, but I concur.
It's okay. We don't know what's going to happen yet. We still got to see what happens in free agency if they even make any goes. And
gotta have an open mind,
absolutely. You gotta
open
mind,
look at the forest through the trees, man.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thank you, Mark. And now move on to Mike Nava. Hey, we just talked to you.
Whoa.
Hey,
double dipper.
Double dipper.
Deja vu.
Mike. All right. Well, you've got a question. We might
Hey,
as
Mike.
well ask it. Goes a little something like
course.
this.
When it comes to free agency, what side of the ball do you think the Chargers should focus on? Offense or defense? Defense.
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 Why?
Because it's Staley's team now. If Staley is a defensive mastermind, I would imagine that if he's going to pick up anybody in free agency, he's going to be able to utilize them the best. We've been talking about John Johnson as a possible pick in free agency.
Yep.
So him having that connection and Von Miller possibly having that connection. I think most of the free agencies that we've actually talked about is on the defensive side of the ball. We know that there are some offensive line available players out there, but the ones that at least we have talked about here on the Charger Chat have been mostly on the defensive side of the ball. So it would make sense that when it comes to free agency,
We've been taught, like, for some reason in my mind, it just makes more sense that way.
Right.
I honestly, I've been trying to come up with the explanation of why. And I don't, I don't know. In my head, it's just like first round pick has to be an offensive lineman. That's just what I've decided. And so I feel like then you have to address the defense with free agency.
Right.
And like, it could go the complete opposite way. But also one factor that I think is there's one corner that you need. There's one edge rusher that you need. There's 5 offensive linemen that we need. You can't afford to bring in 5 guys in free agency for one spot, like one position group.
Right.
So
there you go.
I just logically,
Out of sheer logic and
that
money,
many free agent offensive linemen in one offseason? I don't know. That'd be awesome.
If you know, leave us a comment down in the comments.
And subscribe.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Oh,
Golly.
God.
Jiminy Christmas.
Too much, too soon.
That's okay.
Okay, so we are in accord that we think that the defense will be addressed in free agency and some offensive linemen here and there, but primarily in the draft. And that's kind of what we think as a Charger chat, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, and it's all going to depend on who we keep around too. I mean, everybody focuses on Trey Turner because he's the biggest dollar, that's
see you later.
Get him out of here, dude.
That's $11 million that we could have to spend in free agency, which would also just be one more lineman that we need spot that we need to fill. So
I don't care if we just keep 11 million in cap space, don't spend it, and still cut Trey Turner. Just get him off
Just
the deal.
donate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. We'll see what happens. But thank you, Mike.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. All right. Now moving on to Daniel Llewellyn, who asks the question.
Yo, potato chips. I'm just going to flat out ask. All-time favorite Charger unis. Okay, Shaka, bro. I'll go first. 2003, Monday Night Football, relocation game in Arizona due to dem crazy wildflowers. All right, okay. First game against Seau when he signed on with the Dolphins. Navy blue wipeout. Legit, K, love you, bye.
That came together so perfectly. His question, that voice.
I felt it in my bones.
Right.
In my bones.
That worked. I'm still at a loss for how cool our new jerseys are right now.
Big time.
Like personally for me, I love the powder blue and the yellow pants. Like that's my shit.
Yeah.
And I know it's the easy one because it's the new one, but when I see them run out on the field, I'm like, hell yeah.
They are tight.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they make a statement. It's hard to pick a favorite, man. Like it's hard to pick a favorite when they've been all so good. I mean, I'm looking at them right now, and God bless, they're so tasty.
Quit drooling.
I can't help it. I think I can't think of like a year, but anytime, like there were some times that we had some just big blocky numbers on the uniforms. Like it was just like boom, 17 just takes up like the entirety of his chest.
Yeah.
It's like it's all up there, and then just these big bulky bolts on the shoulders.
There was some 2000 stuff that wasn't the best.
So my favorite was like the real throwback powder blues. I'll try to my best to describe them because they all kind of look the same in like the way that you say them, but it was probably early 2000s, and it had the white helmet with like the very simple yellow bolt and they had the black numbers on there.
Yeah.
And like the numbers were like block numbers, the white pants, and they had like the gray face masks. Those ones, we were also really
that
good.
was LT. I remember LT wearing that. I remember
Merriman,
21 on the side of that
Gatesy,
helmet.
Stephen Cooper,
Yeah.
Luis Castillo. Like that was a solid team. And those unis, I loved that. Because anytime we wear powder blues, it's like a throwback. But those ones were like a throwback. I think those are some of my favorites.
God, they're all so good.
They're all good.
They are all good. Everybody's a winner. All right. Thank you, Daniel. Now we move on to Anchovies21, who asked the question.
Not a question, just a hypothetical. Can you imagine the AFC West with Wilson as a Raiders QB, Mahomes as Kansas City QB, Watson as Denver QB, and big bag gunslinging Herbie as our QB? Again, I know it ain't real, but just imagine. LOL.
I don't want to imagine
I don't
that.
want to imagine that at all.
That'd be hard.
I'd rather
no,
not.
like
really hard.
I want to win a Super Bowl, and if
that's
add
our
those two
opponent,
guys
yeah.
to our division, it just brings down the window, like the kind of narrowness of the margins.
Possibility.
It just that. No, thank you. Is that even really possible? Like,
No.
I know they're not really talking about wanting to get rid of Watson right now, right?
They don't have a choice. He's already now saying that he's going to sit out games.
But they seem
They're
pretty
gonna have
dug
to
in
trade
on
him.
both sides. Like he's saying he's not going to play. They're saying they're not going to trade him. I don't know what's going to happen in the Texans world. But yeah, I would rather not have that all in the AFC West. But just imagine if it does happen and we do win. Like how easy would every
That's
other
true.
opponent be if we can win the AFC West division? I'm not saying we would, but I'm just saying if those were,
That's a lot of games against those guys.
and that is a lot of
I'll
games.
call
Well,
for
that's a lot of
realignment.
that's a lot of good, healthy competition, I would say. So if
I want a
all right,
divisional realignment. I want to go to the AFC South or something.
please, that would be nice. We're far enough south, aren't we?
Yeah, close
enough. Yeah, we'll see what happens. There's still more quarterback moves to potentially happen this offseason, and hopefully just stay out of the AFC West, please. It's hard enough as it is. Thank you, Anchovies21. Now we move on to Zach Marincic, who asked the question. You guys ever gonna make merch? A Chargers chat flag would be sick.
Dude, he does sound effects too. He took a drink of his drink and then
There are
was
so
awesome.
many people asking questions. I have to come up with some new ones. So that was
good.
that was
dude.
weed smoking
Thank
Wolfdog
you.
right there. But
The weed bulldog.
Charger merch, man, folks, we would love to have some Charger merch. I think
Totally.
the one thing that would be a great deciding factor, we've been kind of dropping it throughout the podcast, but we are so close to getting 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you guys have been great on YouTube. Those of you that have already subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing. But if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, please do, because if we can get 1,000, I 100% guarantee that we will start dropping some merch.
We'll get a store going for sure. We'll get you a flag, Zach Marincic. We promise.
A flag just for Zach. So thank you, Zach, for asking the question. Now we move on to Veiled, who asked the question. What non-offensive line player at 13 would be an exception if our main needs is offensive line? Yay!
Yeah, we talked about it. I think yours was right on the money with the Pitts thing. I think that makes the most sense in terms of a need.
Yeah.
It addresses a need.
But we don't know if it's a need yet.
Right now, it's a need because we don't have a tight end. He isn't signed.
Mhm.
So we don't need a wide receiver right now because we have a lot of really good ones. We don't, as of right now, don't have a tight end because he's not signed. So that's a need and it's a value. So if it's not an offensive lineman, I would say Pitts.
I think there's three guys: Kyle Pitts, Caleb Farley, or Gregory Rousseau. Caleb Farley's cornerback out of Virginia Tech, and Gregory Rousseau is that edge rusher from Miami. Those are three of the big needs outside of offensive line. So one of those guys would be awesome. I still hope it's an offensive lineman because I want a guy that's going to be there for a long time, and you don't have to pay top dollar right away for, just to make the roster a little bit more stout everywhere else. But if we are quote unquote best available, one of those three guys would be awesome.
All right. Thank you, Veiled. Now we move on to Chimney Crickets, who asked the question.
Drayton Florence, old number 29, had a summer camp back in Ocala.
his hometown in Florida. I went as a kid, instantly became a Chargers fan, and the rest was history. Was there a certain player for y'all that made you a Charger fan instantly?
Can you say, I hid this watch in my ass?
I hid this watch in my ass.
Nice one, dude. Mine, I'll jump in real quick. Mine's Junior Seau. Like, that was when I started playing Pop Warner. He was cool. He was hitting everyone, destroying everything, and it was Junior Seau for me.
Yeah, I was a Charger fan because we lived in San Diego, but I think one of the guys that stands out most is Rodney Harrison. He was a guy that before he couldn't hit people, he hit everyone.
He was a murderer.
The safety that he just tried to. He played so violent. It was, as a kid, it was like, oh my good Lord, these are gladiators out there.
Like, where are the police? They're gonna take this guy away.
Yeah, Junior Seau, obviously, but also, and Junior Seau being a San Diego kid going to Oceanside, it was awesome to have him around. But yeah, outside of Junior Seau, Rodney Harrison was awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, when LT, I mean, we've heard all of our fan focuses talk about LT. You can't ignore when somebody breaks a record or sets a record like that. So LT was great to watch. But for me, as soon as I saw Phillip Rivers jawing with somebody, I was like, oh, I'm in. I love this. Like, I could watch this all day long. Sign me up. So
sign me up.
Yeah, sign me the heck up. So LT to start, LT got me in. Phillip Rivers kept me in. There you go. Nice. So thank you, Chimney Crickets. All right. Well, now we move it on over to the Reddit side of Ask Boltfam, and we started off with Josh Marr 1998, who asked the question.
Do you think trading up for Sewell is possible or a good idea?
Not only possible, I think it's an awesome idea.
Fantastic idea.
I don't know how much you'd have to give up. If he falls to like 9 or 10, yes, go get that man and give up what you need to, in my opinion. But it's just an opinion. The way you're looking at me was like, stupid asshole.
Like, I'm gonna put my foot in the sand. This is the hill I'm gonna die on.
Yes.
But what's going on over there?
Just an opinion.
It was Kyle was looking at me. He was looking deep into my eyes, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm saying something wrong."
I was just thinking. Yeah,
how fucking dumb I am.
No. I like the idea.
I'm just kidding.
Of going all in. Like, if that's your guy, go get him. I like that idea. But at the same time, you are going to give up quite a bit to move up a couple spots. You're going to give up probably your second, potentially even a third. Depends. I would love to be able to make that happen and only give up one of our thirds. That would be awesome. If we could do
probably
that.
Probably a second, though, if you were to do it.
Probably. So that's hard because you give up if you give up a second round pick, that's another guy that's potentially going to start right away. And we have plenty of need elsewhere. And a lot of these guys are good. A lot of these tackles that we've, as a fan base, have done a lot of research on are good players. So it'd be cool if we can make it happen. I don't think it will happen though.
It is possible though.
It is possible.
It's possible. Anything's
we
possible.
Won't rule it out. And if it does happen, better believe we'll be celebrating it like crazy.
Yeah. Oh shit. So will Herbert. His buddy's coming to the Chargers. That'd be amazing.
Right. That's the whole. I mean, that's really the big thing. I mean, Sewell's an amazing player, but the possibility of reuniting him with Herbert to be on the line to help him out,
dude. Brisket Bros to the third.
My Traeger's at half mast right now, boy.
Hey, they'd have to get a couple more Traegers at their apartment if that was going to go down.
Yeah,
that's a big boy.
Might have to open
right
a
there.
Traeger restaurant. Only Traeger foods. We got brisket and we got brisket. If you don't want brisket, get the out. All right, thank you, Josh.
The restaurant's called Victory.
It's called Brisket Boys. Come on now,
Brisket Boys. Wild Boys.
All right, now we move on to JDM2118, who asked the question. Yo, I just been wondering, how did you guys become Charger fans? Hey, what's the story behind the men in front of the mic? Hey, Adrian over here. Yo, Adrian.
Go ahead, Adam. You start
Well,
us.
you know, honestly, if you really want to like hear the entire story of about the guys behind the mic, if you go, I think, to one of our first episodes, you'll hear us like go deep into what brought us into the Charger realm and how we got here. But it for me, as you know, just to give the Cliff Notes version, it was because of Kevin. I was a fan. I wouldn't even say I was a fan. Like, I was aware of the Chargers being in San Diego, but I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the football. But once I got to college with Kevin, and his excitement during any game is just it's contagious. So I couldn't. I was incredibly infected by Mr. Duggan, and
you're welcome.
In more than one way.
More than one way, a touch of infection from Mr. Duggan.
Touch of infection. Oh shit!
Gross. That is so gross.
So yeah, for me, being a fan of the Chargers, it started with Kevin. Being aware of them living in San Diego, but without Kevin, I don't know that I would be half the fan that I am right now. So there you go.
Yeah, we were roommates in college, and there on Sundays there's only one thing on TV, so that was
Kevin
the way
made
it
it
was.
very clear. Sundays, they're for the Chargers. All right,
don't fucking touch the remote control. Kyle, go for it.
Yeah,
bro.
so me and Kevin grew up in San Diego. We both love football. We played Pop Warner forever. And it was just natural. Then they sucked too. they were so bad.
In our heyday, they weren't great.
Yeah, when we were growing up, they were so bad until that late 2000s kind of run, or early mid 2000s. But yeah, we didn't have a choice. Our dad was a season ticket holder. We went to games all the time. So yeah, it was just kind of a family thing, and it's something that we've continued on because what other options do you got? We're San Diego fans that stuck it out.
Yeah, and our kids are now Charger fans. They can't help it because we couldn't help it, and we're very happy that our dad made us Charger fans. So
yeah,
our kids can't do anything about it.
All right. Well, thank you, JDM. Appreciate the question. Next, we move on to Lavish Syndrome, who asked the question: do you think another QB should be brought in to back up Herbie?
Yes, it has to happen. You got to have another guy. Tyrod's a free agent. He's going to be gone. You have Easton Stick, which is awesome. Yeah, you're not going to put. I honestly think that Easton's your number 2 guy. Probably. I don't think you're going to put big money into a new guy.
No,
but we're gonna have. You're gonna bring in somebody. You're gonna bring somebody.
Well, somebody was talking today about the Alex Smith news. Like, he'd be great. Like, I don't.
He doesn't want to be a backup.
Not only that, but like he's not the same kind of quarterback as our guy. Like, both of our guys are mobile quarterbacks. Dude, like, I just don't see it. He's a coach now. He's not a player anymore, in my opinion. You know,
he's the comeback player of the year. He's not going to come back to sit on a bench. He's made more than enough money. He's going to go somewhere he can play.
I don't think he's going to get that opportunity, though.
Exactly. Like,
not at the Chargers.
No, but look at the league in the entirety and what QB positions are available. I mean, if he's the comeback player of the year, what team was willing to take a chance on having him as the starting QB? I'm not saying
Houston, because they suck.
Oh, there you go.
You know, there's like options.
There's a lot of other quarterbacks out there without like pretzel legs. You know what I mean? You feel me?
Wow.
Jesus.
Just saying. Like, watching him run around on the field, I was like, I was nervous for him. Like, I don't want to be nervous for my backup quarterback. Like, just running into the huddle. Like, I know I'm making light of a serious thing, but like, I don't want to be worrying about that. Like, draft some, if you want to bring in some veteran, you can, but I don't see doing something like that and spending more of this money we need to put towards other things.
100%.
No, it's not going to be somebody.
It depends on the amount of money that he's asking. But the reason why people were even talking about Alex Smith coming over to the Chargers is because that's who Mahomes sat behind before coming in his position in Kansas City. So if Herbert can even rub off anything that Mahomes might have rubbed off.
Herbert's already here, guys.
I understand. I'm just
he's arrived.
He's arrived.
I'm just explaining more of the thought process behind getting Alex Smith. I agree. I think Easton Stick should be the number 2 guy. But if you could bring in a veteran like Alex Smith, like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, or even a Tyrod. I mean, if Tyrod can stick around for a cheap dollar amount, I
don't think he's going to want to stick around.
You can't puncture a lung and stick around. Yeah, he's out. He's like, I don't trust you guys at all.
Well, who's going to take the punctured lung quarterback? If they're not taking pretzel
Somebody's
legs, who's taking punctured lung quarterbacks? So
somebody will.
Somebody will. He's probably going to Detroit with his best friend.
That's very possible.
That makes the most sense.
That's very possible. But if there is a veteran quarterback that can come in just to be the number 2-3 switch, whatever the situation might be. I think Easton Stick is a great backup, but if they're
clipboard Jesus, let's bring him back, guys.
Bring Charlie Whitehurst.
Charlie
What's he up
Whitehurst,
to
bring him
these
back.
days?
What are you up to, Charlie? Let's get
Billy
you back in
Bullock,
here.
get him back in there.
Yeah.
Just call some of the OGs back in.
Shit. Why don't we just re-sign Phil for the one day and just be like, hey, bro, we just need you to hang out. Just kind of hang out at the facility a little bit.
Yeah, go coach high school football, but if shit goes down, we're gonna call you.
Zoom
dude,
you.
There's players like that. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Like he was a coach, a high school football coach, and they signed him, and he didn't even go to practice. He was just like at the ready. Like, dude, why can't we give that to Phil? I'm being like not serious, but like that'd be awesome.
But yes, in a perfect world, that would be amazing.
Yeah, the reserve quarterback.
Oh, stop it.
I know. Look at the smile on his face.
All right.
Adam's just giddy over here.
I can't.
Yeah.
This is too much. I can't
Don't
process
say
it.
that.
All right. Thank you, Lavish Syndrome. All right. Next, we move on to Ed Boyum, if that's how you pronounce that name, who asked the question, what would be the best free agency signings for our divisional rivals? AKA, who should we worry about them picking up?
I
It's
don't know.
the
Like,
QB
this is a weird-
situation. It's like it's the Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson discussion.
So if you're asking me this question, who would be the best free agency signing for them? It'd be the worst possible player available. That's what I would say. When I read this question, I was like, this is an easy slam dunk. Like whoever, like some shit garbage, sign that. That's what I
Alex
want for my
Smith.
rival team. Send over Pretzel Lake.
The question
over there.
The question is, who would we worry about them picking up? Like, who
I know that's the question. That's what I read into it. Like, just send them some shit. I don't want.
Yeah.
It's the question from earlier. Like, I don't want to see a top tier quarterback coming into the AFC West. We're already competing against one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in the league.
I don't want anyone to sign the guys that I want. I don't want them to sign
exactly
John Johnson, Leonard Floyd. I don't want those guys to go anywhere inside of our division.
Yeah.
I would just be pissed off when they play well and I wanted them.
Totally.
Yeah, we don't want any good QBs. It's funny though, because when I think back, it was like when Peyton Manning came to the Denver Broncos, it was like
that sucked.
It sucked, but I wasn't overly worried because every time that I watched the Chargers play the Colts, it was like Chargers had Peyton's number. They would take him down.
I was worried about it.
But obviously the guy went on to win a Super Bowl, and so look how that went.
Oh, you know who I don't want anyone to sign is Melvin Ingram. That would suck.
Ooh.
Yeah, that would suck. Basically, I don't want
someone in
any
the
of the
division.
guys on our teams.
Or Hunter Henry.
No, yeah.
Stop it.
Oh.
If Hunter Henry went to the Broncos, I would probably cry
In
for a
the
couple.
kitchen, Kyle.
Wasn't me.
Shit.
All right.
Now my
Man, that's
mind
sad.
is racing.
Let's
Yeah.
get out of this. Let's
Yeah, I
get
don't
out.
want
I'm
any of
pulling-
our players
I'm
to go to
pulling
the
the
Yeah,
chute.
you turn.
Pulling the chute.
Yeah.
All right, let's get
Maybe Trey Turner.
Let's look up. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they can have Trey Turner. Yeah, you guys can have him. Yeah. Go to the Chiefs.
No, because if
Yeah.
they sign him, he's going to do amazing.
He'll be fucking.
Yeah,
He'll be an all
the
pro.
that'd be
he'll be the
incredible.
offensive
Yeah,
player of the year
whatever.
for some stupid reason. All right.
First offensive lineman in history.
All right, let's get out of this. Let's look on over to Okie Doggy, who asked the question.
Too much. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have it yet, but which players in the draft do you have on your draft boards? If they were possibly available at our pick in the first round. Example, last year, I had Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tristan Wirfs, CeeDee Lamb, and Isaiah Simmons on my draft board. They must have friends.
That was Christian Bale Batman for anybody that didn't pick that.
Dark
That's
Knight.
okay.
Dark
Dark Knight, one of the best films of the year.
I don't have like a huge laundry list. I have a couple guys that I'm targeting. Like it's Penei Sewell.
It's lineman,
Rashawn
lineman,
Slater.
and lineman.
Like that. I'm basically it's those two guys. Those are my two like really go tos right now. Is Slater.
Darisaw, I would.
Darisaw,
No.
Vera Tucker.
It's all tuck. Give me a tackle.
Exactly.
That's my draft board.
And I don't want to tackle that was shifted over to this year because of COVID and that happened. Like I want to tackle this.
Yeah. Oh, he could be a guard.
Yeah, like that.
Don't give me that. Don't
I
give
don't
me
need.
that,
I need a
Tucker.
tackle.
Don't
I wanna
give
tackle.
me
Give me a
that
tackle.
bullshit.
No,
Get
I don't want a hybrid.
Get out of the room. All right. Thank you, Okie Doggy.
Okie dokie.
Thanks, Okie Doggy.
Always good to hear from you. Next, we've got YNWA Dad 10, who asked the question.
Wait, your YNWA is You Never Walk Alone. This is a Liverpool supporter. It's my boy. All right, YNWA Dad 10.
Wait, wait, what?
Liverpool,
Wait, what is
apparently.
it?
So Liverpool soccer team their like song that they sing before every game is "You Never Walk Alone," and that's YNWA.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Well, there you go.
Nice.
Kyle,
There you go.
Detective Kyle is on the case.
You know, I'm cultured, guys.
Sick.
All right. Well, here comes a hot question.
Surprised we're not hearing more clamoring for Richard Sherman after that Staley honeymoon sesh. Assuming we cut Hayward or Harris, dude was phenomenal for the Niners in 2019 and good last year. Plus, just seems like a super cool dude. What would y'all think of Sherman signing to replace Hayward?
I don't know about replacing. I'd
That's
rather
so
see him
hard.
added.
Yeah,
I'd rather
I
see him
don't know.
playing with.
To start with, I don't see us cutting Casey Hayward.
No.
He's on the roster right now. I don't see why we would cut him. But there does need to be another corner. Mike Davis is out. And behind him, there's not really anyone if we don't sign him back. So if you add him to that, I don't know. It's hard, man. He's a vet. He needs money. Like he's gonna get paid pretty good. You saw what JJ Watt just got, astronomical. So yeah, he's a good football player and he's very smart. It sounds like from that interview, which was kind of cool to hear them kind of talk and banter.
Yeah, Staley, him, and Collinsworth. Yeah,
it was cool to hear them talk and very much on the same page with philosophy. So it could be a fit. I don't know. Like I'm not going to say if they signed him, I'd be like, oh, let's go. We're locked down. That's two pretty old, pretty veteran.
30.
I guess it's a better way
for
of saying
Sherman,
it.
31
Pretty
for
veteran
Hayward.
corners. You know,
Yeah,
so
almost as old as our coaching staff.
right. So I don't know. I guess I would be excited, but I would be hesitant at the same time.
Well, it was interesting during that Collinsworth podcast with him, Sherman, and Staley. At one point near the end, he was saying, you know, not to like get you guys in trouble with interfering or anything, but I think Richard's looking for some work or something. He said something like that, and Sherman kind of like gave it like a really like kind of like played off like, I'll stop. So who knows? He basically, and in that interview too, he basically said that he does cut ups to show his players, and he was going to go do a cut up later as soon as that interview was done, and he was about to go cut up a whole bunch of Sherman tape. So he clearly has an appreciation and respect for him if he's using him as a reference to his players. So it is very possible something like that could happen. My only worry is just the age, and in 2020 he missed like most of the season with the calf injury. So, you know, if you're talking about doing something like that, like Verrett is on the table too, I guess, if we're going to go down this path. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I want somebody that's never been hurt ever in their whole career.
I don't think that's possible. What do we count? We count hangnails? What are we counting, Kyle? Where does it stop?
Never missed a game. Never missed a game. That's
Never
what I
missed a
want.
game.
Fair enough.
Yep.
All right. Now we move on to Orgasmo 3000.
Oh, God. I didn't know where that was.
Touch of Phallus. I should have put these guys next to each other. The Touch of Phallus, Orgasmo 3000.
I just love that they're all in the Chargers subreddit.
Hell
all
yeah.
right. Orgasmo 3000.
So there was a request on this one, but I can't wait to see what happens here.
All right. Well, yeah. Orgasmo had a request. Anybody that lives in South Africa, I apologize ahead of time, but I'm going to just know that I took a solid 2 minutes to prepare for this. So for an accent that I've never done before, here we go. Assuming some of the players who opted out of the 2020 season will be let go because the team has found another better options for those spots. Which of those players would you like to see in the Charger chat?
That's pretty good.
That was awesome.
Neither one of you know South Africa.
I do. I went to school. One of the directors I work with is South African, and that was like, I closed my eyes. It was pretty solid.
Wow. I was imagining that movie that you were talking about, and I think that's it.
Right.
Yeah, there's aliens walking around you while you said that.
Here's how we'll know.
Yeah.
If you think it was a South African accent, leave a comment down in the comment section.
And subscribe. Shut up. No more. We're done with that.
We're going to lose subscribers.
Yeah,
because of all
Come
this.
on. These are funny. Get off my dick.
Yeah, so there's some players.
There was a lot.
Just
Yeah. A lot of Patriots.
There was
especially.
67 total players that opted out this season. So there were a lot of guys that were like undrafted guys that, you know, the $150,000 they were going to make was probably close to what they were actually going to make being on the team that year. So there weren't a ton of like that, but I just picked out a few just to kind of give you an idea of who's available, who opted out at least, and if they decide to cut them, who knows. But so here's the first one. I think you guys might have some feelings on this one. The 49ers, Travis Benjamin opted out. Would you like to bring him back?
Yeah, because he probably needed to go practice catching footballs for off.
He had to wipe the butter off his hands.
Jeez, right.
Just washing his hands the whole season.
Boy,
Yeah,
you had me
no
in the
thanks.
first half, but you lost me when
Pass. Yeah. Pass.
The Bears defensive tackle Eddie Goldman.
Yes, solid. That'd be awesome, but they will not cut him. He's
Not
really
cut
good.
him. The Bills defensive tackle star Lutalele.
Also solid. I don't know.
Older
I don't
player.
see teams.
Yeah,
I don't see teams cutting these guys because they opted out.
Yeah, and then just two more: Chiefs running back Damian Williams and Patriots. Patriots linebacker Dante Hightower. Those are just a couple guys that opted out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, those are all. What's crazy is
Did you say he dead?
Damien. He's a Chiefs
He
fan.
did.
Dead to me. Yeah. Not interested in Chiefs. But yeah, I don't know. Like those. It's crazy to think about how those are great players, and they did not play this whole last year.
not all of them. No, not the first one.
Not
Travis Benjamin. I would not put him in that category.
Oh yeah. Well, you never know. He could have had a breakout year, caught a couple balls.
he caught at least
That would be
two.
a breakout year for him, catching a couple balls.
Yeah.
Doubling his catch percentage.
Yeah, I don't see why the team would cut a guy because he opted out.
No.
So
One of the things that I'm going to be curious about now with the lower cap and with teams needing to sign free agents, and there's a lot of big names with big dollars out there. Do you see any big talent sitting out a year because they know that other teams just can't afford them right now?
No. If anything, they'll sign a 1-year deal and make the money, prove it, go somewhere, see if they like it, then go sign that big contract next year. And at the end of the day, we saw that J.J. Watt still got paid.
That's what I'm saying. So do you see some big names?
And it was only 2 years.
Right. It's 2 years. But do you see big names then taking a pay cut to make some teams?
Not a pay cut, but accepting a smaller length of contract.
Okay.
Because I think that's the potential that you see. But at the same time, they have so much flexibility with long-term contracts, right? Like Patrick Mahomes, his cap hit lit year was not that big.
Yeah, it's
because they backloaded a lot of it. So like you could still get a big contract, get a big signing bonus, and then your cap hit is not huge the first couple of years. And that's what I think will still happen. I don't see players.
You don't see any big names
not
sitting out
playing
because no team is willing to pay them.
No, they still want to make money. They're still going to make more money than I make. So they're going to go play football. They're going to play a kid's game and make millions of dollars, even if it's a couple million less than what they would have made potentially if the cap was
Fair
higher.
enough. All right.
So yeah, I think it'll be a weird offseason, but they're still going to go get
Which still
paid.
has plenty of time to go. Thank you, Orgasmo 3000. Next, we move on to Dirty Sock 101. These are great. Who asked the question? Which Charger had the most underrated season in 2020? Hoo-ha!
Nice.
Johnny Bravo coming in hot.
I want to say I'm going to go out there and just say this is Rayshawn Jenkins. I think played out of position and still had a pretty good year. He made mistakes here and there, but he got switched to strong safety there. Week 2 of training camp when Derwin went down. Didn't have a huge offseason. Like we had a very weird season, Zoom meetings. He didn't excel. He wasn't a Pro Bowler. He wasn't awesome, but I think it was underrated what he did, what he stepped up and played a role for the team. And I think it's going to pay dividends this next year when he goes back to free safety potentially and is able to have that experience a little bit more like rounded as a defender.
I think mine is probably Sam Tevi. Like it's kind of, he was on one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League, but he wasn't the worst of our players. And I think he was serviceable. And we talked about it episodes ago where he was serviceable. He was, holding his own when he was playing. So I'd probably say Sam Tevi. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean I want him back as that left tackle. But
just
I
underrated.
Think he was underrated.
Yeah. And I think he'll go back he'll go to some team and play right tackle and be a good player. He's not a Pro Bowler, but I think he'll go somewhere, play right tackle, and be pretty good.
Excellent. Thank you, Dirty Sock 101. Appreciate the question. All right, now we move on to Z the King 1, who asked the question.
How likely do you think it is that we cut Trey Turner and Casey Hayward? If we don't cut Trey Turner, do you think there's a possibility last year was just an outlier given that every other year of his career he has been a pretty good lineman? I've also heard talk that Casey was injured last year and played through it, which impacted his play. Bounce back, yeah.
Like Hayward was battling that hamstring like most of the year is what they were reporting. So I don't think we're cutting Hayward. I think we've heard it earlier in the podcast. Like Trey Turner was just so bad. Like when you look at some of these guys and he had amazing years in Carolina, but we've seen what his floor is.
And he got traded.
Yeah, he got traded, and we've seen what his height was, his ceiling was with the Panthers, and now we've seen what his floor is, and his floor is unacceptable. So it's a liability to have a player that's not consistent, and he was really, even though it was for 1 year, it was so inconsistent that it needs to be handled, I think.
Yeah, I think that the biggest issue for me is like watching it. He didn't play a lot because he was hurt. And when he did play, it just looked lazy. Like it didn't look like he was trying. He got dumb personal foul penalties, like after the whistle type crap.
Yeah.
That you just can't have, especially as a vet. And you're like supposed to be a leader on the line. You can't do that kind of stuff and cost the team. There was just nothing really. I didn't see anything that was like, yeah, this guy's worth however tens of millions of dollars we're paying this guy. It's like, it's just not worth it at all. I would rather see a Dan Feeney in there at right guard, battling, playing every snap, and being versatile than a Trey Turner that we overpay that gets penalties for dumb stuff and doesn't play hard. So, yeah, I think there's 100% chance we cut Trey Turner, and I think Casey Hayward will be on the team.
Fingers crossed. We'll find out. Thank you, Z the King. Next, we move on to Fluff's Banker 611, who asked the question. Which defensive player do you think is the most likely to have a breakout season this year in our new system?
Well, Kyle, why don't you just take this one?
I think like I talked about earlier, I think Uchenna Nwosu is going to have a big breakout year. I think he's playing in a position that he's comfortable with, that he's built for, that he has the traits to be successful in. I think that outside linebacker position in this 3-4, he's gonna thrive. I think obviously, I guess if you're how you define breakout year, I think Derwin James is going to have a bounce back year. I think the way that Staley is going to use him, he was hurt all of last year, didn't play. I think he's going to have a huge year because he's going to be all over the field. No one's going to know what position he's lined up in, and it's going to be fun to watch.
It is going to be fun. Yeah, I think Drew Tranquil also might be that guy to get that breakout season just because we were without him for the better part of last year. So
or Kenneth Murray, he could explode even further.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's just so much potential with this new defense. We're also excited about what could happen. So any one of these players, Tillery could have a breakout season.
If Tillery has a breakout season and actually proves why he was a first round pick, that would be so delicious.
It's on the table. I think that the guys you mentioned earlier are more likely, but there is potential for a lot of these guys to break out. That's, based on your definition of what that is.
100%. Good question, Fluffs. Thank you. All right. And now let's get out of this Bolt fam. Erica Morale is going to take us out. She also requested an accent that I took 2 minutes to prep for. So here you go. Oh, how's it going, eh? Going to veer away from the free agency questions for a flavor of something different. Now that Lynn is relieved from his duties and we're on to Coach Staley, what were your guys' favorite and most infuriating Lynn moments?
Take off,
eh?
Take off,
eh?
Take off, hoser.
I'm going to the brewery.
I'll go to the brewery.
I think my favorite, and I mentioned it last week as one of my favorite Charger moments, was that Kansas City game back in, I think it was 2018, where we went for it on 2. That was Lynn putting his balls on the table, going this is what I'm all about. Bam. And we walk away with a win when we easily could have walked away with a loss. We had the option to tie it up. We didn't. We went for 2. We won. We walked off. We celebrated. And that was my favorite. And I mean, worst for all of us has to be any clock
Last
management
season.
situation.
Yeah, that was all just so embarrassing. So yeah, 100%. Like the high. I completely agree with you, Adam. That was the hot top end for Lynn for me.
Yeah, I think smoking a stogie, barbecuing on Hard Knocks was pretty cool to watch. It's just fun to see him, and that's before the dominoes started falling in the wrong direction for Anthony Lynn.
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean. Yeah, anytime that he talked smack about Justin Herbert was kind of hard. And I'll say it wasn't talking smack, but just like holding back compliments is what it felt like. I was like, I get it. Like, I understand.
Just say it.
Like, I know what you're trying to do, but just like give the guy a compliment.
Just give him an attaboy.
Just give him a attaboy. Hit the showers.
Something.
Feel me?
It's all right. It's all right. It's a brand new season, brand new team. And we are out of Boltfam. So thank you, all of you that asked questions on Ask Boltfam. Yes.
I just want to say I would appreciate your thoughts and prayers for this upcoming week. Kyle and myself are both going to be single dads for about a 4.5 day period.
Yes.
Our wives are traveling to a bachelorette party for our little baby sister. And I can't promise that there won't be some number 10s shaved into the side of my 3 sons' heads when she gets back.
Yep. Or no 55s problem. Or 17s or some Charger great will be shaved in.
We'll find out real quick if they listen to this podcast.
So
and we'll report back.
What's funny is, so Huggin, you have how many? 3?
I have 3
boys. Kyle, you have how many?
1, 3, and 5.
2 boys. So it's all boys, no girls in any of this situation. So the 2 Duggan brothers are going to have to be corralling 5 smaller Duggan brothers running around. Godspeed to you boys. So we'll find out next week how it all went.
We'll report back.
We will report back. Let us know what you think is going to happen to the Duggan bros in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. Those of you that haven't yet, we would really appreciate it. I promise you, we're not going to send you spam and
shamelessly
promoting is what it is right now, my friend.
Shamelessly promoting.
So we appreciate all of you for sticking around with us through all of these long episodes. We have a blast doing it. Hopefully you enjoy it as well. I don't know why you would listen to it if you didn't, but we thank you and appreciate you sticking around with us this long. Don't forget, folks, to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, love you, bye.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hey there, partner. Got yourself a hankering for some brisket? Then get your buns down to Brisket Boys restaurant, where we have over 20 different styles of brisket. There's barbecue brisket, boiled brisket, broiled brisket, baked brisket, sauteed brisket, brisket kebabs, brisket Creole, brisket gumbo, pan-fried brisket, deep-fried brisket, stir-fried brisket, pineapple brisket, lemon brisket, coconut brisket, pepper brisket, brisket soup, brisket stew, brisket salad, brisket and potatoes, brisket burger, brisket sandwich. That's about it. So come on down to Brisket Boys, where brisket is as brisket does.